I'm going to demonstrate a hatching and cross-hatching technique, which is a method of applying tone to your drawing through a series of lines. And before I actually demonstrate it with an object, I just wanted to emphasize that it's important to feel confident about the stroke that you're making, and it's really a good idea to just practice making lines before you do your cross-hatching, because you want the line to be sure and definite. Cross-hatching doesn't work that well if your lines are very tentative or indecisive. So it's really important to practice making lines, practice making them very close together or a little bit further apart, straight lines, or in some kinds of hatching it's good to use curved lines, both directions. So the more confident you are about that stroke, the better your hatching technique is going to be. So this is a way of applying tone through blending. Hatching is different. Hatching, you use a series of lines. And so for example, over here I can create this shadow shape by putting in a series of lines. And then I can vary the darkness by either pushing down harder, or I can add more lines. So I could come in, this is called hatching, where the lines just go in a single, you've got a single set of lines. Cross hatching is when you come with another set of lines to darken these lines. So, and this is a flat hatching technique, and that I'm not really concerned here about the roundness of the object. I'm just putting in a series of straight lines, not curved lines, just straight lines. And there's sort of a slower build-up to the tone that occurs in this kind of hatching. So you have to be a little bit more patient when you're working tone in this way. The beauty of hatching and cross-hatching is that because you're putting a series of lines on top of one another, you don't completely cover the paper, and so there's a little bit more life to the feeling of these shadow shapes. There's a little bit more luminosity because these little bits of light sort of come through the different lines. It also requires that you use a media that allows you to make a line. In other words, you don't want to do this with a dull tool. You want to use, I'm using Conte, which is not ideal for this, but pencil or silver point or something that you can sharpen so that you can get a point and make a definite line with. I can also put my hatching lines in a way that emphasizes the roundness of the object. So in other words, here all my lines were just sort of flat. They didn't say anything about the fact that this shape is rounded, but I can go at this in a slightly different way, map out where my shadow is and cast shadow. And I can do the same thing, except I can use curved lines, lines that show me the volume of the object. So I can start with a series of curved. The trick in this method is to be aware of perspective. I'm looking down this object, so all my lines have to curve this way. If I was looking up at an object, say like this, then all of my hatching lines would be running this way. Here, all my hatching lines are going to be doing some variation of this. So, in other words, I could come in and I could, with my next set of curved lines, I could bring these in like this. Or the next set could go like this. But all of these lines that I'm using, I'm trying to think in terms of making a concave curve, because you're constantly reinforcing the essential shape of the object with these curved lines. It's a great thing to sort of look at old master drawings and to see how they deal with complex forms that are rounded in every direction and get more ideas of how to use hatching. You'll also see in old master drawings, sometimes what they'll do is they'll they'll put in a flat tone like this to demarcate where the shadow is, and then they'll come on top of it and they'll sort of add tone. Sometimes with this stumping technique where you're just blending, the surface can get kind of an uninteresting look to it. But so if you come in with tone on top, when you're creating the gradation within that shadow area, it can just enliven that the feeling of that shadow a little bit.